Well, hello. It's about time I got to this video and got it to you guys. I know you've been waiting. So I hope it turns out as good in real life as it does in my head. Anyway, to get started, you need to have 4 materials that you're going to use for your 4 poop bags on your hoop. Okay. These are all vinyl except this one is water resistant canvas. And for each one you will need, you can use the same colors, whatever, and you don't be switching top stitching colors, but I like to do mine all different. You're going to need zippers that complement each bag as well. So to start with, for each bag you need to have a back, and it's cut 5.5 by 5.5. Okay, 5.5 by 5.5. I have my little logo, that I put on, stamp on the very back, so I don't have to put anything else on it. My front piece that's going to actually have the design for the dog on it is 4.5 by 5.5. So our width is 5.5 and 4.5 for the front piece, and then the piece that goes above the zipper, which is going to be like that, is 5.5 by a minimum of 1.25. So that's just to keep it out of the way of the bag that's above it, and yet big enough that we aren't going to be running too close to the edge. This one, I didn't have another piece of this, so I've just found this other piece of vinyl that has peach in it, and it will work just fine. And so for each bag you need those 3 pieces cut out: a back, a front, and a top. Okay, and then your zipper. Now zippers come in different widths, so when we're putting the zipper on, I'll talk a little bit about that. And I also, when I put my bags onto my hoop and it's time to put the zipper on, I like to clip here, just off this edge, close to the stay, and then this one is of course going to be lined up beside the first one. So I like to clip off this edge so that my 2 zippers aren't overlapping like this while they're on the hoop, because that just makes me anxious. So I just cut them off. But again, you will find the best way that works for you. So this is what you need to get started, and we will carry on now with how to hoop and how to start your poo bags on your stabilizer. Okay, I am going to attempt to do a tutorial on how to make 4 doggy poo bags in one hooping. I've never done one before, so I appreciate your patience and a little grace, and we'll get through this, I think. Lots of you probably have done 2 poo bags at once, and to do 4 is makes it that much quicker. Also, you need to do the same dog design. You can't do a dachshund and a Doberman and a Beagle. They all have to be the same. So you start off, I have, my hoop is an 11 by 11 inch hoop, and I have to, if I can see it, I have to join my stabilizer because it's not long enough this way. So at the sides, I pin it so that those 2 sides are together, and makes it nice and taut. And I also do the top and the bottom. I like to pin and pull and pin so everything's nice and tight. So then on my screen, I choose my, this is a Janome Continental M17. So most, I think, embroidery machines have pretty much the same abilities. Just maybe some not as extensive as others, or size-wise as others. So this is my 11 by 11 inch hoop, and I have got my design right smack in the center there. So I need to make copy 4 of these. So I'm going to take my design and I'm going to move it right up into the corner. Now, all of them that I will do as I copy and paste and move one over here, I tuck them right nicely up tight into the corner. And I've had a couple of occasions where I have taken the, or had to go back and restitch and I've deleted maybe one of the pictures or whatever, but I know that if I take it and add it back down and right smack into the corner there, then it's going to be in exactly the same place every time. And I don't have to go trying to adjust my up and down and whatever to try and get it to match. So I will do all 4 of them tight into the corners like that. Okay, so once it's like that, then you go to your sequence button, which you probably have on your machine, and that's the ability to do the same color thread for each bag so that you're not stopping and going to the next step. It just carries on. So I'm going to choose OK, and it will decide that that's good. And there we go. And now it says we're ready to stitch. So step 1 and step 2 are exactly as they are on the machine. And it's after that step that we change some numbers and make it a little more exciting. So we'll start from here and stitch down our 4 placement stitches for the outline for our poop bags. Okay, so we have all of our placement stitches down here, and we're going to now add the zipper. Talked about cutting off an end here and put the white zipper on here. And I snipped off this little end because I don't need it overlapping with this end and getting all caught up together. So I'm just going to lay this zipper down. Widths of zippers are different as well, so I like to try and just make sure my zipper is actually laying on the line in the center line, and we are going to stitch this down. So basically step 1 and 2 are just as they are in the sequence. I'm not changing any numbers. Now my second one, again, I'm going to lay it down here. If you've done 2, you've done this far for sure. And then my third one. And if you're eyeballing it, you just kind of want this little top measurement here to stay consistent all the way across. That way your zip is straight. It can get a little bit sideways sometimes. Okay, so that's the zippers. So now the next thing that the machine wants to do is a basting stitch for the top piece. And what we want to do is actually stitch the top piece down with the top stitching. So this is where our first set of numbers is going to come in. We are going to go to our number place here, and we are going to put in number 1828. So what that's doing is taking it over here. So what the last step wanted to do was go all the base this all the way around with a like a, oh, I can't remember what they call it. Not a basting stitch, but a really skookum stitch. Anyways, we don't need that. We just need this top stitch row. So we're going to start that, and we're going to top stitch this down. Now here you need to stop the machine because it will go and think it's going to do the same thing again all the way around, and we don't need that. So now we need to change the number on here to 2068. That's our stitch count. That brings the machine right over here to this edge, and we want to start our top stitching. You just want to make sure that you've got overlap. You're not too tight to your outline here, so that your stitching doesn't get too close to your edges. So we're going to top stitch this one. Okay, so once again your machine's going to go over here and thinks it needs to go all the way around, so we need to stop it. And over here we're going to change our count to 2303. Again, that brings it back over to that right hand edge, and we're going to top stitch that down. And the last one, we need to stop the machine and go back and do our stitching count is going to be 2539. That's for the 4th bag. And that one, okay. So the next thing in the natural sequence is going to be to do the same idea as what this wanted to do all the way around, with a top stitching seam, not seam, but a top stitching along the top. So we're going to lay our bottom piece, the 4.5 by 5.5 piece on. And on the first one, we're going to let it do its thing until it gets to over here where it wants to come down. We don't need to have this stitch all the way around the bag in such. So I'm just going to stop it there, just as it comes around the corner, and cut the thread. So now I want to do the same thing over here. I want to bring it over there so we can do the top stitching on here. So I'm going to lay my red down, and we're going to change the numbers, the stitch count numbers to 3019. Now it's going to start here, and it's going to top stitch, and this is where we need to watch it. If it starts to go a little further than you want it, that's okay. Just stop it wherever you are, and cut the thread, and it's fine. Okay, and then cut my thread. Okay, so then my next one, I'm going to change the stitching number to 3393. And we will top stitch this piece down. Once again, when we get to that edge, we're going to let it go a couple down, stop it, cut it. And then our last one is going to be 3767. And we're going to put our bottom piece on here. And we're going to stitch that down. Alrighty. Okay, so now at this point we have all of the bags top stitched, and from now on we won't be using necessarily the black thread. It might change with whatever colored dog you're doing. Of course, we're doing the Dalmatian, so that's pretty standard black and white, and I will probably be top stitching them in black anyway. But before we even put the dog on here, I want to stitch down the whole thing so that I have an outline. When I go to lay my back on, I know exactly where it is, and it keeps anything from moving and shifting. So we're going to go to our stitch count again, and we're going to go to stitch count 9. And that takes us right back to the very beginning set of stitches where we've done our basic outline on the stabilizer. And the reason I'm doing that is because I just need a running basting stitch. But we have to be really careful when we get around to here, because that same set of stitching will do the zipper outline, and we don't want that now. We don't need that. So we're going to start at 9, and we're going to do around. Now another reason I start at 9 is to try and eliminate some of the little rat's nests that accumulate. So right around this corner, I'm going to stop it. So just as you go around the corner, you stop it and cut the stitch. And then we're going to move to this one, and our stitch count on this one is going to be 277. Same idea. We're going to stitch around, just getting rid of these threads. I hate extra threads, but stitch around to secure the fabric down. Okay, and remembering when you get to this corner, you want to stop it, cut your thread. And then we're going to go to the next bag number 3, and our number on here is going to be 545 stitch count. And that will take us down so that we can stitch down this. Whoops, my thread came unthreaded. Just bear with me a second here. We'll get this rethreaded. And I'm just going to back it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. And we're going to stop it there and cut it. Now, if for some reason you missed stopping it and it starts to do the zipper outline, just leave it. And once the bag is all finished, you can take your seam ripper and just snip out some of those extra stitches that you really didn't want there. Okay, so we're going to move on to bag number 4, and our count here is going to be 814. And move that over to this side and stitch down the last basting stitch. And cut. All right, so at this point, every poop bag that has been made with the threads design that have the same amount of stitching, like it's standard. Up to this point, we're standard for all of the poo bags except one, and I can't remember which one it is. But if you come across one, then you'll know that it's just not working. Next time I do, I'll make a note of it. So now this is where things change a little bit. First of all, actually our next step is standard with all of them as well, and that is going to be our placement for our fabric or our outline of our dog. So we're going to go here, and again, this is the same number for all the poop bags, 4141. Whoops, no, that's not going to work. Let's do that again. 4141. Okay, here we go. Now, I pre-cut my fabric, and I don't usually do this is where you can do the outline if you need to have it to put your fabric down. I cut my fabrics, I don't know, about 3 by 4.5 or something like that. And all of the designs fit on there. So if you want to do it that way, if you want to lay down, do your first set of stitching so that you know where to lay your fabric, you can do that at this point too. So from now on, it's kind of up to you in this, and the sequence will just continue, and there's nothing that needs to be changed until the dog pattern itself is completely finished. And then once we start putting on the back and grommets and all that stuff, then numbers change a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to use the outline stitch for the dog, and we're going to get our Dalmatian on here. And then it will carry on to the next one, and it will just do them all. Okay. Okay, so that was step 7, color 7. And if you used it as an outline, then this next step will be your fabric placement and stitching down your fabric. Because I've done it this way without you doing the outline first, I can skip step 8 because my fabric is stitched down. I don't need to stitch it down twice because it's going to be satin stitched down and it will be very secure. So we're going to skip step 8 and we're going to go to step 9. But before we do that, of course, we need to trim away all the fabric around the outside of our design. So I will stop and do that, and we'll come back when we're ready to start step 9. All right, so I've cut away all my fabric. As you can see, there's a lot of fluff and pieces on here. When I bought my machine, my distributor gave me this. It's basically a makeup brush. And it is the most wonderful thing for sweeping your threads away. So if you have problems with that, or it's a great gift. I just gave one to a friend for her birthday yesterday. But it also is great for cleaning your machine because it seems to just attract the threads. Okay, there, got rid of all those. Now, so now we're on step 9, and that's going to be some of the detail on the dog. because I'm using black, I also use a black bobbin thread. Sometimes with some colors I don't worry about it, but I don't want any of the white coming up through. So we're gonna do step 9, which is the nose. It asks for a different color. I use black. And again, if you've made dog poo bags before, you know what colors you need and what colors you want for different breeds. Sorry, I have a hard time just sitting and watching. I have to always be messing with something, and that's how I get needles through my fingers and cut things wrong. So. All right, so step 10 is the spots on the Dalmatian. And again, every dog breed will be different depending. Some you need to add more fabric, like the Schnauzer needs an extra piece of fabric at the bottom. Some of them need it in the ears. And those all happen as you're doing the dogs, and nothing that you haven't encountered before or that I have changed. So I'm just going to let you carry on at this point, and we will come back after the Dalmatian is completely finished. All the outside satin stitching is done. Okay, so our poo bag design on the front is complete. As you can see, I have taken my work over to the counter, and I have brought my zipper to the center, cut out from behind there, and all the little threads that are loose back there. I add my connector to the top. That's where I prefer it, but you can certainly put it there. And I've put my grommet in. So the places that I glue after my bag is all finished and cut out with a small seam, I will put Gorilla Glue along the top edge of the ribbon that is slightly exposed there in the cutout place, also across the front and the back seam where the ribbon is connected. I also do the front and the back here where the zipper is attached on both ends. And then I lay it out to dry for about 24 hours before I try and turn them. I haven't had any problems with zippers coming undone or any of that. So that's how I make my 4 poo bags at once. I'm sure you could do 6 if you have a big enough hoop, and figure out the numbers that go with that. So if you have any problems with this tutorial or any questions, certainly let me know and I will try and give you a hand. Meanwhile, happy sewing poo bags.